Hello students, welcome back to 2D video game design. We have recently just changed the bullet behavior that will allow us to shoot left and right. Now I want to spend some time talking about the sprite renderer and how we can make our character appear to move in different directions. So if I go to my hero, you'll notice it has a component called the sprite renderer. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to be able to access the sprite renderer from my script. And that's a very straightforward thing. I'm just going to put a spot here, variables for sprites. And I'm just going to say that I have a public sprite renderer. And I'm going to call that lowercase sprite renderer. Control S to save, and then I'm going to go back to Unity, and I will see that within my script, as soon as it refreshes, there it is, player controller, there's my sprite renderer. And the way that I get my sprite renderer is I grab this and I just drag it in. Okay, now I've got my hero sprite renderer. So there are a couple different ways that we can go about this. Let's go back into the script, and down here I've got where should the bullet appear? It should appear next to the player. So if the direction is right, actually let's go down here. Okay, when I record the direction, if I press the right arrow, then the direction is right. So when I press the right arrow, let's go ahead and change the direction. So if it's facing right, I want it to look normal. If it's facing left, I want it to be facing left. So the sprite renderer has a field called flip X and flip Y. So what I want to say is sprite renderer dot flip X, and that is a Boolean, which means it's either true or false. So right now, if the character is facing to the right, I do not want this flipped, and so I'm just going to say that is false. And then if I'm facing to the left, then sprite renderer dot flip X, capital X, is equal to true. So let me go ahead and push Control S to save that. Okay, so now if I go to the right, everything looks normal, and then if I go to the left, my character faces the opposite direction. And now with the bullets, that looks like that, and then like that, and then now this is starting to look more like a game that I can play. Now, there is another way to do this that I want to mention, and that is for us to actually change the sprite. So we can see here that I've got my right-facing sprite like this. And what I've done is I've gone into Piskel and mirrored it so I have a left-facing one. And this can be more of an artistic difference that you might want to have the left-facing one a little differently, maybe not just a mirror image, maybe you want to make sure that the lighting is consistent on it. For whatever case, this gives you more control over what your left and right facing sprites look like. So the way I would do that is I would go up here and I would say that I also have a public sprite called right and another public sprite called left. Control S to save that, and then when we go back into Unity, let's look in the hero inspector. Okay, I have a right sprite and a left sprite, so I'm going to take my right facing sprite and drag it in there, and my left facing sprite and drag it in here. So now going into the code, I'm going to take this flip command out, and I'm going to say sprite renderer dot sprite is equal to right. So what I'm telling it here is to actually change the sprite to be the right picture, and then same thing here, sprite renderer left, no, just kidding, sprite renderer sprite is equal to left. And this is going to create the exact same effect here. Let me go ahead and play it. So now it looks the same, but like I said earlier, this could be a case where you might want this one to look a little bit different. So just to show you what that can look like, if I go to the hero, let's say I turn the left facing one, I'll use the stone sprite on that. I could have something where when I am facing the right, I look like this, and then anytime I turn left, I turn into a stone block. Now, why would I want that? I don't know. I'm sure you guys can think of something. One more thing I want to talk about with Sprite Renderer is the idea of having something change when something acts on it. So specifically, let's take these red blocks right here and let's have them change whenever they get hit. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new script. And I'm going to call this the red block control. And while I'm at it, let's go ahead and drop the red block control onto the red blocks. I have it in the prefab. So let's go to the prefab and let's add the component script. The red block control script. There we go. Okay, so now that's on all of the prefabs, so I don't need to go and add them individually. And let's go into that script. Okay, so I want to be able to access the sprite renderer. So first thing, I've got a public sprite renderer, and it's called Sprite Renderer, lowercase. Control S to save, and let's go drag that in. So on my prefab, I've got the red block, and on the script, it says that I have a sprite renderer, and let's go ahead and drag that on there. Okay, now we can program it. So let's just say, let's use the onCollision 2D void, private void onCollision enter 2D. Make sure you're using the 2D version of this. So if something hits, then let's change the color. So we can say sprite renderer dot color is equal to new color 0, not O, 0, 0, 255. So remember, color is red, green, blue, so that would be 0 red, 0 green, and then 255 blue. So we'll go ahead and save that, and then let's see how that looks. Okay, I've got my game here. Oops, I still have it where I'm turning into a block when I turn left. That disappears, and then when I shoot the red block, it turns blue, and you see that it knocks into the other blocks and it turns blue. So this could be a way that we could do damage. Now, also, you'll notice that when it runs into another block, it turns blue. So let me do that real quick. So any collision at all turned it blue. What I can do here is if I go to bullet, I see that this is untagged, and so I can go ahead and add a tag to this one. We'll save it, and then going back into our script, and we can now say if collision dot game object dot compare tag is bullet, then do that. So this will make it so it only changes if a bullet hits it. Uh-oh. I think I messed something up here, because now it's not changing at all. So let me just go and check something real quick. Oh, you know what? I created the tag, but I never actually tagged it. So let's go ahead and actually add the bullet tag to those prefabs, and then let's run it again. There we go. So now if they run into anything else, so like if I run into it, it doesn't do anything. I still turn into a block though. But then when I shoot it, it does turn blue. Now another thing that we could do is instead of changing the color, we could say that we want it to turn into one of the gray blocks. So we could even say, let's add another sprite here. Public sprite damage. Now I don't have a damage sprite ready, so I'm just going to use one of my other ones. So let me go to my red block, and on my script I see that I've got damage. I'm going to go to my sprites, and we'll just use the left facing sprite right here. So when you damage it, it's going to turn into a left facing Pac-Man character. Let's go back into here, and we're going to say that the color changes to blue, but before the color changes to blue, let's say sprite renderer dot sprite is equal to damage. Let's go ahead and run that one. Okay, so I'm going to move up, and when I shoot this, nothing happens. When I run into it, nothing happens. But then when I shoot it with a bullet, it turns into a blue Pac-Man.